Hey, and welcome back. I'm Matt Hines here with DevOps TV at the DevOps.com interview room here at DevOps Enterprise Summit 2016. Very lucky to be joined by Ross and Chivas from Verizon. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
How's the show going so far?
Pretty awesome so far.
Yeah. Connecting with old friends, learning a lot, seeing what companies are doing.
Yeah, it's amazing to see, there's a lot of growth in this space, right? I think the show's growing something near 100% over every year. That might be overstated, but it's significant year-to-year growth. One of the topics that is always relevant and certainly top of people's minds this year, transformation, and certainly understanding a bit about what you're here to speak about. Very interesting story in terms of what's going on at Verizon. So if we look at the storyline or the story arc, right, the narrative of any transformation, there's some key points that I think are interesting to check out. Where you started, how you decided to go about trying to affect the transformation, what you've been experiencing, and what the outcomes have been. So, maybe we can just dive into that a little bit. What was Verizon's sort of overarching outlook in terms of how it approached DevOps transformation?
So I think Verizon as a whole is going through this phase where our market and our competition is dramatically changing what they're doing, right? And we as a company need to react to that, and we actually need to build better experiences for our customers. So that's the groundswell that we're dealing with. And the DevOps journey for us is how do we get better, get faster at what we're doing so that we build intensely personal and simple experiences for our customers. So with that as the backdrop, the transformation has been looking at our entire technology and IT footprint and saying, what are we doing that we don't need to so that we can simplify? And then what are we doing that we need to do better so we can get faster? And that's been a 5-year journey at this point, and we still have a couple of years to go.
It's pretty inclusive in terms of spanning everything from dev to ops. I mean, what are some of the maybe the key domains that you focused most on? And it's a broad area, right? But what are some of the table stakes?
Well, it encompasses the entirety of the organization. So right now we're very focused on kind of the how do we scale the right practices and skills across the organization? How do we continue to focus on kind of having an enabling culture that enables a DevOps transformation? Starting to look at where does our model need to go when you think about dev and ops and all the other surrounding functions, so that we use the term kind of optimized for agility. And so getting to a point where as an organization we're really optimized for agility, we're optimized for speed, we're optimized for delighting customers quickly.
Sure, right. I mean, culture is, here we are however many years into the DevOps revolution, right? And culture remains the hallmark of everything that we do. I
like that term, revolution.
IT revolution, right?
Yeah,
sponsors
DevOps
around
revolution.
Here, right? We borrowed that, right? Yeah. We didn't make it up. No, but if we look at the challenges, I'd guess that shifting as large a culture as there is at a company the scale of Verizon is no insignificant task, right? So what are some of the the lessons learned there?
I think a couple of interesting things that have happened, especially kind of as we finished the simplification phase and started working on more the DevOps revolution, as you said, is
start using that.
All of us are.
Slideware.
Is that we made a deliberate choice not to be tops down driven on this one. We said we really want to encourage a grassroots movement. We want to highlight people who are doing this better, teams that are doing this better, and then show that off to the rest of the organization. And have people just really ask the question, hey, if another team can do this better, why am I not doing the same? And that's really helped us kind of bubble this up as a way of doing business over the past couple of years. So that's, when you talk about culture, that's what culture is, right? Is an organization deciding that it wants to work a certain way. It wants to operate a certain way. And now that we're 2 years into this journey, now we can go in and start to be a little bit more opinionated about how do we put some structure around this. And as Ross was saying, how do we then say, okay, we have this culture, how do we nurture this, how do we grow this, and put the operating structure that allows us to do that?
Very cool, right? I mean, we hear about the need to have executive alignment But certainly, I think in every successful case study we hear about, it's a start small mindset, right? And it's attractiveness and inclusion. And yeah, it sounds so that's a successful effort so far. People are seeing the value and wanting to bring it to their team or whatever area of the business they're involved in.
I think let's be clear though, the executive alignment is absolutely important, because if you don't have a couple of people that can provide you the air cover that you need for these experiments to succeed, it just dies. So we've been blessed with some very strong opinionated leaders who say, yeah, go out and show us that this will work. And that's been part of the success and part of the journey really for us.
Cool. So again, what are some of the milestones that you've accomplished thus far? What are some of the the biggest changes that you've seen as a result of again trying to make this transformation?
Do you want to
cover that one? Go for it.
Sure. So at the beginning of the journey for DevOps, we went in and looked at all of our applications, the entire footprint. We said there are a certain set that will make this journey, and the rest are not directional for us. And if you think about that, and it's about 1,000 odd applications that we're working with, we're, I'd say, halfway there with more than 700 applications that are on the journey with us, with a good 500 that are spending a lot of time thinking about doing things in a better, faster, more optimal fashion. In terms of value that's created, it is getting these teams to think more like engineering teams and saying it is important for them to get better at how they build their products and their applications. We're seeing that translating into faster code to deploy. We're seeing that in fewer issues in production. We're seeing fewer outages in production. So it's a good blend and a good mix of these things. In terms of business value, that's always an interesting challenge, right?
Elusive business value.
The elusive business value.
Who needs it? Yeah, it's just change for change's sake, right?
Yeah. No, it is a hard nut to crack, because we've looked at, we can measure specific things that tell us teams are getting better or how we deliver code is getting better. But how do you take that and then translate that to in the marketplace with all of the other things that are happening around us? What is that incremental benefit that us going through this revolution did? I think fundamentally it is, you don't improve, you die in the marketplace. So, it's hard to come back and say, here's $100 that we brought into the business just because we're able to do DevOps.
Which is a general problem. I mean, interestingly at this conference, this whole business value topic has come up continuously over the last 24 hours. So it's clearly something everyone's grappling with a little bit right now.
As the practice matures, that's what you see, right? You kind of see the lower level measures that get better, and people then kind of see that. And the next step is really, how do you translate that back to gains for the business?
I cannot think of a space where customer experience and competitive differentiation are so intrinsically linked, right? We talk about studies where people have looked at how long someone will tolerate, lag in an application or a website, but God forbid that my phone does not respond as quickly as possible, right? So maybe one of the last things we could touch on is in terms of customer experience, right? Because that's the ultimate arbiter in your space. Just quickly, how do you think the DevOps transformation has really impacted your customers?
I think it gets us thinking more about our customers. So our strive is to continue to be more and more customer aligned. And actually, the takeaway, the last slide we had in our deck was kind of the call out to the community on how can we come together to talk about and collaborate on how to move traditional companies and traditional IT organizations to a more customer-aligned product and service model. I see pockets of that happening, and as teams mature, you see them being more responsive to the customer needs, but it's still, I think it's one of those areas that's going to trend in DevOps here over the next year or two, because I think companies are starting to try to tackle that at scale. We're trying to tackle it at scale, but there's not a lot out there on it yet. So we're kind of learning as we go.
It'll be interesting to see. Again, really great to talk to you guys. I think it's an amazing case study, and very cool that you're here at DOS 16 to talk about it. Again, talking about DevOps transformation here at the DevOps.com DevOps TV meeting here at the conference this year. Thanks again.